In the midst of the chaos and destruction of World War II, London was a city under siege. Bombs fell from the sky, reducing buildings to rubble and leaving the people in a constant state of fear and uncertainty. Amidst the darkness, however, there were glimmers of hope and moments of unexpected connection. It was in this harrowing setting that Emily and James found each other. Emily Foster was a dedicated nurse, working long hours at St. Thomas's Hospital, tending to the wounded soldiers and civilians brought in from the front lines and the bombed-out streets. Her days were filled with the grim realities of war, yet she remained resolute, her compassion and strength a beacon of light for those in her care. One fateful evening, as Emily was finishing her shift, a new wave of wounded arrived. Among them was James Thompson, a young RAF pilot who had been shot down over the English Channel. He was badly injured, and his condition was critical. Emily took charge of his care, her skilled hands working quickly and efficiently to stabilize him. As the days turned into weeks, James began to recover, thanks in no small part to Emily's unwavering dedication. Despite the pain and uncertainty, he found solace in her presence. Emily, too, felt a connection growing between them, one that transcended the horrors of war. One evening, as Emily was checking on James, he looked up at her with gratitude in his eyes. "Thank you for everything, Nurse Foster. I don't know how I can ever repay you." Emily smiled, her heart warming at his words. "You're welcome, James. Just focus on getting better. That's all the thanks I need." As James continued to heal, he and Emily began to spend more time together. They talked about their lives before the war, their hopes and dreams for the future, and the people they had left behind. Their conversations were a respite from the grim realities around them, and they found comfort in each other's company. One evening, as they sat together in the hospital garden, James turned to Emily, his expression serious. "Emily, I've been thinking. When this war is over, I want to find a way to make a difference. To help rebuild what has been destroyed." Emily looked at him, admiration in her eyes. "That's a noble goal, James. I believe you can do it." James took her hand, his touch gentle yet firm. "And I want you to be a part of that future, Emily. You've become so important to me. I don't want to lose you." Emily felt a lump in her throat, her emotions swirling. "James, I feel the same way. But the future is so uncertain. We don't know what will happen." James squeezed her hand, his gaze unwavering. "I know. But if we hold on to hope, and to each other, I believe we can make it through this." As the months passed, Emily and James's bond deepened. They supported each other through the darkest days, their love a source of strength and resilience. Emily continued to care for the wounded, her dedication unwavering, while James's recovery progressed steadily. One night, as they sat in the garden, the distant rumble of bombs a constant reminder of the war, James turned to Emily with determination in his eyes. "Emily, will you marry me?" Emily's heart raced, tears of joy filling her eyes. "Yes, James. Yes, I will." They shared a tender kiss, their love a beacon of hope in a world torn apart by war. They made plans for their future, dreaming of a life beyond the conflict, a life filled with peace and happiness. As the war dragged on, James was eventually cleared to return to duty. The thought of him going back into the fray filled Emily with fear, but she knew how much it meant to him. They spent their last night together before his departure in each other's arms, cherishing every moment. "Promise me you'll come back to me," Emily whispered, her voice trembling. "I promise," James replied, his voice filled with conviction. "I will come back to you." With a heavy heart, Emily watched James leave, praying for his safe return. She threw herself into her work, finding solace in helping others and holding on to the hope that they would be reunited. Weeks turned into months, and the war continued to rage on. Emily wrote to James regularly, her letters filled with words of love and encouragement. She held on to the hope that one day, they would be together again. Then, one day, a letter arrived from James. Emily's hands trembled as she opened it, her heart pounding with anticipation. "My dearest Emily, I hope this letter finds you well. The war has taken us far from each other, but your love has been my guiding light, keeping me strong through the darkest days. I think of you every moment, and it is the thought of our future together that keeps me going. I have been assigned to a dangerous mission, one that could help turn the tide of the war. It is risky, but I believe it is the right thing to do. Please know that I carry your love with me, and it gives me the courage to face whatever comes. I promise you, Emily, I will return to you. Hold on to hope, and know that our love is stronger than any war. Yours always, James." Emily clutched the letter to her chest, tears streaming down her face. She prayed for James's safety, holding on to the belief that their love would see them through. The days stretched into weeks, and Emily's anxiety grew with each passing moment. She threw herself into her work, finding solace in helping others and holding on to the hope that James would return. Then, one evening, as Emily was finishing her shift, a familiar figure appeared at the hospital entrance. Her heart leaped as she recognized James, his uniform tattered but his smile unwavering. She ran to him, throwing her arms around him, tears of joy streaming down her face. "James, you're back," she cried, holding him tightly. "I'm back, Emily," James replied, his voice filled with emotion. "And I'm never leaving you again." They held each other, their hearts full of gratitude and love. The war had tested them in ways they could never have imagined, but their love had endured. As the war finally came to an end, Emily and James began to rebuild their lives. They married in a small ceremony, surrounded by friends and fellow survivors. Their love, forged in the crucible of war, was stronger than ever. Together, they worked to help rebuild their shattered city, dedicating themselves to the cause of peace and healing. Emily continued her work as a nurse, while James became involved in efforts to rebuild the infrastructure and provide support to those affected by the war. Years passed, and London slowly began to heal. Emily and James built a life filled with love, laughter, and hope. They faced challenges together, drawing strength from their shared experiences and the love that had sustained them through the darkest times. One evening, as they sat together in their garden, watching the sunset, Emily turned to James, her heart full of gratitude. "James, do you ever think about how far we've come?" she asked, her voice soft. "Every day," James replied, taking her hand in his. "And I wouldn't change a thing. Our love is a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the power of hope." Emily smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. "I love you, James." I love you too, Emily, James said, kissing her gently. Thank you for believing in us and for never giving up. As they watched the sky darken and the stars begin to twinkle, Emily and James knew that their love had endured the ultimate test. They had faced the horrors of war and emerged stronger, their bond unbreakable. Their story was one of resilience, hope, and the unbreakable bond between two hearts meant to be together. Emily and James knew that no matter what the future held, they would face it together, hand in hand, their love a beacon of light in a world that had seen so much darkness. And so, their story continued, a beautiful journey of love, resilience, and the enduring power of hope. Together, they faced each new day with courage and determination, knowing that their love would always guide them through whatever challenges lay ahead.